All right, we are live.
Excellent. Thanks, Caitlin. Good evening, everyone. It's 7 o'clock and welcome to the Zoom broadcast of the Newburyport Zoning Board of Appeals for the meeting for March 8th, 2022. My name is Mark Moore, the Vice Chair, calling this meeting to order as our Chair, Rob Champetti, is out tonight. As we bring panelists into the meeting, and before I take the roll, I'd like to mention that we have City Planner Caitlin Sullivan and our intrepid taker of the notes, as the Chair is wont to say, Gretchen Joy, assisting with the presentation tonight and the meeting. Still waiting to see if everyone's chimed in yet. Let's see. How are we looking, Caitlin, on the attendance side before I take roll?
Let's see. I'm not seeing Stephen Delisle yet in the, oh, I am seeing him. I'll promote him right now.
Perfect. Thank you very much. With the promotion in the works, I'm going to be I'll be introducing the board as a form of roll call and make sure that we have a proper quorum. So with that said, I would ask that the board respond here or present, whichever you desire, as I call your name. So we have Secretary, welcome, Stephen Delisle.
Here.
Member Ken Swanton.
Here.
Member Bud Chagnon.
Here.
Associate Member Greg Bennett.
Here.
All right, and I am obviously here. So 5 in attendance. We have a legal quorum and we can continue with the public hearings this evening. At the risk of making this preamble, and by the way, all members in attendance tonight will be voting. At the risk of making this preamble longer than tonight's agenda, we always like to inform those new to public hearing process on Zoom or maybe hopefully in person soon, how the flow of these meetings works. To start, I'll read a brief summary of the public notice of the applicant's intent. I then invite the applicant to present the salient data points and the description of the proposed project. In this case tonight, it will be the applicant are the owners, but sometimes it's legal representation. Once the presentation is complete, I close that portion of the hearing and ask for the important input of public comment. If anyone in attendance would like to comment, please utilize the raised hand notation at the bottom of your screen and wait to be called. Once called, please give clearly state your name and address and keep your comments brief. I don't anticipate a long meeting tonight, but we do like to keep it, we like to keep brevity intact. Please understand that public comments are not intended to be a Q&A session, but know that the board is hearing them. Once public comments are, everyone's commented and all the hands have been satisfied, we close public comments and move to questions from the board. Board members will ask for information that they need from the applicant to help formulate the decision. Once the board has exhausted their questions, I close that portion of the meeting and move on to deliberations. This part of the hearing allows the public in attendance to listen as the board discusses moving collectively towards a decision. Once deliberations have concluded, that portion is closed and I'll ask for a motion to approve the application. 2 points here. Due to the public deliberations of the board, it may be clear or seem very likely that the application as currently comprised is unlikely to pass. In this case, the board often extends the opportunity for the applicant to ask for continuance to fine-tune the details and address the concerns of the board. By the way, the board can always ask for continuance on its own if it doesn't feel it has the information that it needs to make a proper decision. The continuance is a better option for most applicants due to the cost and time restrictions involved if the board goes to a formal vote and rejects it outright. The second point is that because we use the form of Robert's Rules of Order, you'll always hear a member make a motion to approve, even if that member has no intention of voting that way. Once the motion is seconded, the vote is taken. If the motion receives 4 votes in the affirmative, the application is approved. And then we would repeat that process theoretically if we had a longer meeting until all the public hearings were complete. We have a legal board in attendance here. We have the rules of the road, and we'll move on now to public hearings. Our first item on the agenda will be a request to continue. I don't believe anyone's here. The application for 4446 Beacon Avenue, Windward Shaw LLC. It's a variance application that's been continued most recently from our last meeting. You can construct a pool and a pool house within setbacks. The applicant has requested to continue this to our next meeting of the 22nd. And I don't believe there will be anyone in attendance from the applicant side. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. So that said, the applicant has requested to continue this to our next meeting of 3/22. The meeting of the 22nd is full. It has 5 already, but one is the placeholder appeal for Brine that will just be asked to be continued anyway, making this again the 5th for the meeting. So if anyone has a question about what that looks like. So do I have a motion to continue this matter to the 22nd?
This is Bud Shagnon. I'll make a motion to continue the hearing for docket VAR 22-1, 44 to 46 Beacon Avenue to the 22nd of March, 2022.
I'll second it, Ken Swanton.
All right. I have a motion to continue in this matter made by Mr. Chagnon, seconded by Mr. Swanton to the meeting of the 22nd. We'll now take a vote. Mr. Delisle.
Yes.
Mr. Swanton.
Yes.
Mr. Chagnon.
Yes,
Mr. Bennett.
Yes.
And I am also a yes. It's all in the affirmative. This matter is continued to the meeting of the 22nd. We will now move on to the next item on the agenda and the last public hearing of the night. 35 High Street. It's a variance request to construct an elevated pool deck with a wall/fence below, extending a non-conforming side yard setback. The applicants are Javon Ali and Noel Achman, and at this time we'll hear from the applicants.
Hello, my name is Noel Ochtman, and I live at 35 High Street, and we have a very small lot. It's actually probably the smallest house in the new organization of the zoning. Our lot is actually technically unbuildable because of its width. What we'd like to do is to install a pool and around it a pool deck. So actually the pool, we'd be able to, we don't need the permission for the pool except from the building department. But we do need the zoning relief for the deck around it that we'd like to build. And the deck around it would be, so it's an above ground pool. It's a pre-made modular type pool. It sits on the ground. And then we'd like to build a deck around it. And we'd like to go right up to our property line edge at March's Hill with that. So the pool deck would be even with the pool, top of the pool edge, and that would be, I think, between about 3.5 to 4.5 feet above grade. And then we would have the required enclosure around the pool, another 4 feet above that would be the height of the structure. And it runs approximately 22 feet along March's Hill at the park there.
Do you have any more detail to add into some of the slides that we're seeing now?
No, but I'd be happy to take any questions they have.
Okay. Thank you very much. And we'll close that portion and we'll move on first to public comment. So with the instructions are here, as I said earlier in the brief preamble, if anyone is online in attendance that would like to comment on this application, please use the raised hand icon, wait to be acknowledged, and then give your name and address and be heard. Okay, I don't have the the list up in front, so if you could assist.
No. I'm not seeing any attendees or hands at this time.
Well, that makes it easy then. So we'll close public comment and move on to questions from the board, and we'll start with Mr. Delisle.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Just a couple of questions here. So the existing side yard setback, that is at, what is, Caitlin, would you mind bringing up the slide? I think it's slide number 9 or page 9 on the slide. So the side yard setback in question is at two feet. Is that right?
The side yard setback currently, are you asking?
Correct, yes.
Is at 5.8 feet is the relevant side. And we'd like to go to essentially to the property line.
To 0.
Have it surveyed and go very close to the property line with it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I understand.
And that's to the house. I mean, we're much closer to property line with, we're on the property line with our driveway currently.
Right, but that's not what it's measured from, just to be clear. And then could you tell me how high off the ground the proposed deck would be for the swimming pool, the proposed swimming pool?
The deck height would be about 3.5 feet to 5.5 feet, say, above the grade. There's a bit of a slope. The pool will be installed level. And then of course, so what you're looking at there on the bottom
I
there
see. It starts
is
at
someone
3.5.
standing on grade, and then
Yeah.
there's another figure shown as if they're standing on the deck.
Okay,
So
and that illustration accurately sort of captures how the privacy fence would look as well. Your existing sort of chain link would stay, except for where the privacy fence would cover the deck, so you wouldn't,
yeah, I mean, we would like to maybe replace the chain link also, but basically, yes, what you're talking about is right. The chain link would be in that place, and then the chain link would be not where we take it out, where the structure is.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Just so we don't, it becomes difficult to maintain a small space for, in the summer, grass clipping and stuff like that. If we were to leave the fence continue across.
Sure, right, you have it, that in-between space. I understand what you're saying. Yeah, okay, all right, thank you very much. That's all. Those are the questions I have.
Oh, and you asked about this, the fence too. Yes, the slat, a wood slat look is the look that we're intending to use.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Mr. Delisle. Mr. Swan, any questions?
Yeah, kind of continuing along on Mr. Delisle's questions. The thing I'm having a hard time understanding here is, I understand you want to put a pool in. Pools are wonderful things. I get it. But why do you want to go right up to your boundary? I mean, why not just be in a little bit? I mean, what is the driving force here to be right on the edge with your deck and then your pool right off the deck?
Yeah.
Why not
really?
Why not move it over like 5 feet so you're not completely crowding? I mean, this is a very, I don't have to tell you, I mean, I live in the neighborhood too there, and it's a popular park. So why the need to be right on the edge?
Well, the idea of that is so that we could occupy kind of the most sunny spot part left in our yard. On the back and to our neighbor on the other side, that's actually the way the sun tracks. And there's a lot of trees there that are not on our property. We just don't have control of them. And so there's a lot of shade in our, in our yard. So by putting it in that corner, it definitely helps with being able to occupy the most sunny part of our property that's left there.
I see. We also got a letter from the, I guess it was the Parks Department, who was concerned about, they're concerned about their trees. I don't know if you've seen the letter. It's posted on our website. But I went over there today and I noticed the biggest trees on this property are actually, I think they're yours on the bottom corner there, inside your chain link fence. But there are some trees on the park side growing up, and I guess the park department was a little concerned. I mean, I had a pool once, and I kind of get it that you want to have the sun hit the pool to make it warm. But they're a little concerned that if once those trees get bigger and bigger and bigger, you might want to like cut them down because they're going to block your the sun from hitting your pool. I think that may be I don't know. It's hard to tell looking in March at these trees because there's no leaves on them. But could you have you seen the letter from the park department?
I did not see the letter.
Okay, well, they were just concerned. Here it is. She's putting it up. Give you a chance to read it here.
Oh, she's concerned that we would ask them to remove them?
Yeah, there's concern that you might
Well-
ask them to chop some branches down and stuff like that.
Oh, well, they must be talking about trees that are in the park.
Yeah. Yeah, not your own trees.
Understood. I don't foresee that happening. We've done a little bit of thinning on some of the trees that we have. But the trees that we have, we care for a great deal. And the trees that are existing were part of our thinking in locating the pool on our property, even the ones in the park.
Okay, so you don't anticipate, I mean, it's hard to say what you might do in the future. They're worried in the future as these trees get bigger, they might start they might start to block your sun. And at some point, you might ask that they cut back some of the branches and whatnot, but it's kind of hard to talk about because it's so far in the future, really. Those trees aren't that big right now.
Right.
They're not going to encroach on your land for years to come, from what I can see looking at them.
Well, some of them have been there since we've owned the house, and that's been around 25 years.
Yeah, but they still have a
so
ways
we
to
know,
go.
we do have an idea of how fast they grow, and yeah. we're eyes wide open with this location.
I guess my biggest concern was just, I've already expressed it, you're right on the line. And I can't remember the last time I've seen somebody with a variance wanting to be right on the line. So that's really my only question. You tried to answer it. But I don't want to go back over it again. So I'll just leave it there and we'll go to the next questioner.
Thank you, Mr. Swanton. Mr. Chagnon.
Yeah, I guess my question's along the same lines, and I guess I'll ask it just to make sure the previous answer is clear. Did you consider putting the deck on the other side of the pool? Dead square in the middle of your yard, if you will. So the pool would be 6 feet off the property line and the deck wouldn't be in the way. You could install it by right.
Understood. Yes. It's worth it for us to make this attempt to have the deck in the pool in this configuration, because the sun, it's really the hemlocks on the other side that are on our southwest. So they would, in this image, they would be above and to the left. They're the ones that we don't have any control over. And don't see the neighbor ever taking them down. And so really where that corner has the most sun most of the time in the day.
Okay, so I guess as per the previous answer, the location of the pool and the deck are based on the majority of the sun hitting that part of your property during the day.
It is. In fact, as we're looking at that plan, the grass that we have that's kind of in the top and to the left is very thin and often gets overtaken with moss because there's just not much sun on that part of the property.
Okay, no other questions, Vice Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shagnon. Mr. Bennett?
Mr. Vice
Yeah,
Chairman,
just a
can
few.
could I just interject for a minute, just to ask for clarification?
Yeah.
Mr. Moore, you earlier referred to this as a variance, and Mr. Swanton also referred to this as a variance. But from the materials, it looks like this is a special permit for nonconformity. So I'm not sure what this is at this point.
If
Could
I
get some
said,
clarification?
no, that's an excellent point, Mr. Delisle. And if I said variance, it was an error. It's a special permit for extending and intensifying a nonconformity, which is the side yard setback. So my apologies for saying variance. So if that messed up, Mr. Swanton, that's on me.
Yeah, mine too. Thanks. Sorry about that.
Good catch. Okay, with that straightened out, this is an application for a special permit for nonconformity. So we'll move forward under that understanding and go on to Mr. Bennett with questions.
Thanks. Just a few. Am I correct that the width of the deck on the side yard side as it hits your property line there is 6.5 feet wide? Is that, am I reading that correctly?
That's right. And sort of the reason why we were doing that is so that the pool could be placed without needing additional permission also.
I'm not sure I follow your answer. Could you help me understand that a little
Pools,
better?
from what the pools is allowed to be 6 feet from the property line,
Okay,
but the deck is actually, because of the new zoning, our property is unbuildable. So that's why we're here today, to try to get permission to build the deck around the pool.
I got you. Okay, and also I want to make sure I understand this. The chain link fence you will replace the chain link fence as it runs the length of the deck on your property line with a different kind of fence. Is that what you've told us?
Right at the location of the deck,
Right.
the chain link fence would be removed and our deck would be the fence, continuation of the fence line in that case.
Okay, but the deck,
Yeah, we don't want to take the fence has serves a purpose to us, keeping us separate from the park.
No, I
And so
understand that.
we just want to try to maintain a line, as easily to maintain, on both sides as possible.
Right. And would you describe that piece of the fence again, if you will, that runs along your deck there?
Oh,
Okay.
so it's just, yeah, so the deck and the fencing above it would both have this horizontal wood cladding on it.
Okay.
And so it's actually one of the ideas that's shown here that we would like to do is to, the deck location, actually the deck height is kind of eliminated in a way. You don't see it. It becomes more like a kind of a wall in space,
Right.
a slatted
Okay.
wall.
I think I have it. And could you just describe the construction materials of the deck?
It would be all wood construction.
Will it be open slats or will it be?
Yes. Yes, there would be, it's mostly private, but it's not a completely solid
Okay.
fence material.
Okay. That's all I have.
Yeah, less than an inch spacing between the boards.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Banning. I just wanted to go back to slide 4. And I had a question on the shade trees on that side that are, oh, my bad, slide 5, I guess it is. No, I'm still off. Where's the one that shows the pool location from above? I guess it's 6. If I keep counting, we'll get to it eventually. So I just want to ask, so if you're looking at this diagram, how far is the shade in relation to the pool down this diagram? Does it get to the normal 22? Is it always at the 35 high? I'm just trying to get an idea for how shady this backyard is all the time. If you had to guess, I know it's not perfect, but I mean, is there a delineation point that you can see on here? Is it at the 22 mark? That's kind of where the shade is all the time, or?
I wonder if in the photographs, if you can see the trees that were. Yes, you can see the trees that we're talking about in the photograph.
Mhm.
They're in photographs of this property that are over 100 years old also. So they've been there a long time. And they shade more than probably 50%. You know, it depends on the time of day, of course.
Right.
And you know, whether it's the sun is very high or not. But near the late afternoon, even in the area that we're talking about, we're putting the pool will be in shade.
Right.
So
Really,
I
I'm
don't
not
know
asking
the
you, I wouldn't
exact
ask
time,
the
but,
trees
you
to
know,
come down.
sometime in you know in middle of June, still
Mhm.
probably like 5 o'clock or something. It would be in shade by then.
Let them know our neighbors doing everything to take care of the trees, and we're trying to help them.
Okay. I don't have any further questions. I'm just trying to get an idea of how far the shade was in the backyard for the most part, but I think knowing that it hits the pool area at the end of the day would cover that. So I have no further questions. We'll close that portion of the hearing now and move on to deliberations. And remember, thanks
Mr.
to,
Moore,
yes, sir.
sorry, I hate doing this again, but can I ask one further question?
Go right ahead.
Yes. Is the height of the fence included in this release? To look from the I think it was number 7, slide 7. Is that the one that shows the fence? Yeah.
Yeah, so in that image, there's 2 figures. There's one standing on the ground, as you know, so as if we're standing in the park looking at it. The white figure is standing on the ground in front of the wall, and the other figure is behind the barrier, the 4-foot required barrier around the pool.
Right, but what I'm asking about is I think that there would be a maximum height on the fence that would apply to this. Maybe Caitlin, you can speak
Yeah,
to this.
to my knowledge, it's just the relief of the deck location, not the height of the wall.
Yeah, that's correct. You can see the zoning administrator's zoning determination here. The request is just to construct the pool deck with the wall and fence below, extending the non-conforming side yard setback.
So with that determination, we have no concerns over the height of this fence?
No, it's the extension of the side yard non-conformity, the deck getting closer to the property line.
Right. I understand that, but doesn't.
But you're asking, are there requirements for fence height along a property line on the side yard?
Yeah, section.
As we've had in other, which is either 4 or 6 feet.
Yeah, section 6F6. Doesn't it say that there's a 7-foot height limitation now based on the recent mini reform from earlier or last year.
Mhm.
Would be asking relief for that based on the pool guards.
Right.
So what is the height of the high end of the fence? So it's 40.
9 feet tall on the high end,
Yeah.
So let them know that we're asking
108 inches.
Yeah.
for relief on that based on the pool deck guardrail and the topography.
Is that that would be this body that would be in charge of providing relief for that as well?
No, if the zoning requirements restrict fence heights along property lines, yes, we'd have to, I believe that would be there'd be a variance request. So that's not part of this application. So if these plans have been in front of our, and I know they have been, of our planning department, and the request was just to provide relief for the setback. I'll check again with Caitlin, but I assume that the only thing we're being asked to adjudicate on tonight, because the fence has already been adjudicated on by the department, is the side yard setback placement of the deck.
Let them know we went with the planning department zoning review. Our application went by that.
So we'll double check on that.
Mark, so this is Caitlin. That's my understanding that, these plans have been before the zoning administrator, and the relief that she saw and was needed was what is before you with the pool deck. If you want to request further clarity on that, then you're welcome to do so.
But she saw that it was going to be, at the highest end 9 feet when she said the only need was the special permit for the side yard setback. She was aware of the 9-foot fence at one end.
She reviewed these plans. I can't say, she reviewed the project. Perhaps it's worth continuing this in order to get clarification from her that she did in fact see that.
Well, I would think that because it's along a park border, if we have some question on this, that and Mr. Delisle, how do you feel about that? And ask the board how they feel about it.
Jump in and say it's because of the topography that it goes over.
Well, I think we'd have to figure out whether Jennifer, I don't think we can speculate as to whether, Jennifer looked at the 9-foot fence or not. I don't know. I don't know how that works with section VIF 6. It seems pretty clear that VIF 6 says you can't be in the side setback with a fence higher than 7 feet.
No, I think that's that's a valid point. And
Could it be voted on as it's written, and then this clarification be made later, and then it sounds like we would have to reapply if we were gonna have to do one for the fence as well.
no, I think what we would do is we would look to continue this. It wouldn't be a reapplication. It would just be a delay on the decision until we get an answer on till we're satisfied with the answer on the height of the fence. And I know why the fence it definitely gets wider at one end, because that's the slope of the land. And if you're going to keep it, to have some privacy, it will get higher as the land slopes away. But as Mr. Delisle points out, his concerns of, at one end it's fine, at the other end it's very much seems to be very much over height given the ordinance, and I think we'd like a clarification before
We're
we move
also
on.
trying to keep that to not be as large. Also, you can see the deck doesn't go the full length of the pool on that end, and so we were trying to be cognizant of how large this was going to be and just try to keep it modest.
Yep, no, this is not a question of anything you've done wrong. We just want to make sure that the project in front of us has been correctly categorized for our decision, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah.
And maybe it's a simple answer that it's the median height or something as it relates to the slope, but we just need, I think, some clarification from Jennifer that's exactly, that's actually the case.
Yeah, it would be, I think it would be a quick answer to get. And again, this would just be a slight delay in getting this approved, assuming that it was going to be approved with
Based on
the fence heights.
and the slope.
So that said, does the board want to, does anyone want to move to continue this until we can get that answer? And then reconvene and reassess?
Mr. Moore, I'll make that motion since I kicked the hornet's nest on this. I'll move that that the application for 35 High Street ZNC -22-3 be continued until when?
I would suggest the meeting of the 12th, as the meeting of the 22nd is now full.
Okay.
April 12th.
Continue to April 12th.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion to continue this application to our meeting on the 12th. And we will definitely have an answer by then, and we can readdress this and move forward on making a decision. Well, I'll take a vote on the motion to move this application to April 12th. Does that work with the applicant? Will you be available to come back on the 12th?
Yes.
Okay.
And if there's anything else you need, we can provide it for sure.
Understood. Sorry for the delay, but we do need to make sure these are buttoned up. And when we have questions, we ask for this. So we have a motion made by Mr. Delisle, second by Mr. Is it Swanton? Chagnon.
I second it, Mr. Bennett.
Mr. Bennett, over to the meeting of April 12th, and we'll take a vote. Mr. Delisle.
Yes.
Mr. Swanton.
Yes.
Mr. Chagnon.
Yes.
Mr. Bennett.
Yes.
I will also, in the affirmative, all in the affirmative, this application is moved to meeting of April 12th. And thank you very much, Mr. Ackman, and we look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks or a few weeks.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Okay, with that, yeah, good night. With that concludes our public hearings for the evening. So that portion of the meeting is closed, and we move on to our business meeting, which starts with the approval of the minutes from our 2/22 meeting. Do we have any comments, additions, deletions, or do we have a motion to approve?
I move we approve. Ken Swanton.
I'll second Bud Shagnon.
Motion to approve the minutes made by Mr. Swanton, seconded by Mr. Chagnon, and we'll start with Mr. Delisle. The vote.
Yes.
Mr. Swanton,
Yes.
Mr. Chagnon,
Yes.
Mr. Bennett.
Yes.
I also vote yes. The minutes from the 2/22 meeting are approved. That concludes part A of our business meeting. Part B, I don't assume there are any updates from City Planner. Caitlin, do you have any additions to this?
I don't, not at this time. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll just be looking to get clarification on, so not impugning Jennifer by any means, but just want to get clarification on the height requirements that we have here. So with that said, that concludes our agenda for tonight. And do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Excellent, Mr. Swanton.
Second, Greg Bennett.
Thank you, Mr. Bennett. So with that, we'll go to a voice vote. All in favor of adjourning this meeting, please signify by saying aye.
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 All want to continue this? No. Okay. Meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you all.
Thanks. Good night,
Have a
everyone.
nice evening.
Night.
Good night.
Bye.
Thank you.
Aye.
Good night.